Coming at you from the Beaver County Auto Studios up above Market Square in downtown Pittsburgh, this is another Radio Gold edition of Mic Drop here on Pittsburgh Sports Live. I am your host, Mike Asti, and the Steelers were rejected. That's right, they were rejected, but even though they were, you should actually be very happy with the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. They were rejected by Bruce Irvin, WVU product, and former All-Pro, Pro Bowler with the Seattle Seahawks, Super Bowl champion, kind of cast off from the Oakland Raiders, released by Oakland. Steelers shot their shot. Steelers offered Bruce Irvin more money, but he signed with the Falcons. That one from the Steelers Wire, USA Today's Steelers Wire. And, yeah, the Steelers, they put an effort out. They did what I never expected and what many of you dream of constantly. Many of you always offer the pie in the sky, the fantasy football. The Steelers should bring in Dez Bryant. The Steelers should bring in a Bruce Irvin. That was brought up recently after he was cut by the Oakland Raiders. And yes, they did bring in Joe Hayden. Yes, he was a cast off of the Cleveland Browns, and they took him aboard, and he's been brought into the fold of the Pittsburgh Steelers. But that was more of the exception to the rule, and the Steelers are not a team that deals with splash names, and they're not a team that deals with free agent signings and big name players that could really change the course of a season. That's more the New England Patriot way, and the Patriots were another team that offered Bruce Irvin more money, but he chose to go home and sign with the Atlanta Falcons. And if you look here, simply put, this is why. Man, it's time. You can't put a price tag. You can't put a price on the chance for me to play for my people in my city. It's bigger than money. So there it is, the man in the flesh there, Bruce Irvin, still with the WVU part of the Twitter handle, making it clear. This wasn't about the money. Reports are, and they were evident, Bruce Irvin, he was offered more money by the Steelers and Patriots. This was a dream come true. The Steelers and Patriots offered more money, but being able to play for my city and my people, you can't put a price on that. So reports are the Steelers and Patriots both offered him more money. They're both teams that are leading their division. The Steelers kind of assured to be AFC North division champions unless catastrophic collapse throughout the season after their division wins and leading the division right now. The Patriots, as per usual, are going to win the AFC East and are going to be a Super Bowl favorite. The Steelers kind of right below them, the Patriots, the Chiefs, then the Steelers from the AFC, and they could make a run regardless of what Le'Veon Bell does, and that's a topic for another day, and I've already discussed that on many shows as well, but the Steelers are a team that's going to be among the AFC favorites and certainly could have been attractive to a guy like Bruce Irvin, a veteran who wants to win another championship and played college ball only an hour or so down I-79 South that I'm familiar with, and maybe he wanted to have that chance, whether it be the Steelers or the New England Patriots, but it wasn't about the money. As you saw here again, it was about him wanting to play for his people in his city, wanting to play for Atlanta, wanting to play for that city, wanting to kind of play for the home team that he grew up with before going to West Virginia University and starting then his NFL career. And he's won a championship before, so the Falcons are a playoff caliber team. They're not leading their division, but maybe he can turn the corner and help them get in again, get back to a Super Bowl for them and for him. And he just really wanted to be home. So more power to him on the personal reasons, but the Steelers gave it an effort, and you should be thrilled. You always offer these pie-in-the-sky theories of bringing these free agents, Dez Bryant, Bruce Irvin, namely recently, and they brought in Joe Hayden, so you always throw that back at me and my colleagues when we say that's just not the Steeler way. But the Steelers and Kevin Colbert and company really went for it, and that's evident based on this. This is a win-now mode. This is championship or bust. They want to win another championship. Mike Tomlin wants to win another championship, and they know that it's been a decade, almost a decade, since that last Lombardi trophy, and with all the talent by the Pittsburgh Steelers, the fact that it's a future Hall of Famer in Ben Roethlisberger, the fact that it's the best in the world for a wide receiver in Antonio Brown and kind of his protege in Juju Smith-Schuster, who is an elite wide receiver and would be the number one on many other teams. The fact that James Conner is having a historic type of season as a running back and setting records that even Le'Veon Bell had not accomplished. And whether Le'Veon Bell shows up or not, and if he does, that's even more talent around the Pittsburgh Steelers that defensively was the question and they want to win this championship, and they want to do it now. So the Steelers proved themselves. They kind of proved the Steelers' way is maybe no more. It was the Steelers' way where the big-name free agents weren't a thing the Steelers were going to mess with. They weren't going to overpay for anybody. They weren't going to try to rock the boat of chemistry. They weren't going to go after a big-name guy that maybe has multiple suitors that are looking for him, like here with Bruce Irvin. But the Pittsburgh Steelers did it here by all reports, by the accounts. And here it is again. The Steelers and Patriots. The Patriots make sense. They always do this. They did with James Harrison last year from the Steelers. They go after a big name mid-season that maybe they don't have to trade for, that they can get off a free agency deal, that maybe is cast off from somewhere else, and they feel like they can get him for cheap, or, like here, they're willing to pay more and bring him in to win another championship, because that's all they want. That's what the Patriots were doing here with Bruce Irvin. He said no, he went home to Atlanta. As you can see him here donning the Atlanta Falcons colors there, still the Raider jersey, but it's similar. It's Falcons colors, and Falcons Twitter putting that up there, brotherhood. Bruce Irvin now part of the fold, going back home to play for his hometown Atlanta Falcons, the team he grew up with as his favorite team, and the fan base there that he's familiar with before going to WVU. So there's Bruce Irvin in the flesh, future and now Atlanta Falcon, going to start as recent as this Sunday. But the Patriots, we know they're going to go for it. The Steelers, though, doing so, that's telling. That's really telling. And that's something that everybody should be pleased with. You play fantasy football. It's not the Steeler way. They don't usually do that. So it's almost pointless usually. And we have to tell these Steeler fans that you're just not going to do it. Don't waste your breath with these conversations. The Patrick Peterson conversation. It's not going to happen. I dismissed it. It wasn't the Steelers' way. But that was a trade. That's where this is different. That was a trade that would have required draft picks, that would have required some finagling, that would have been more confusing. This year, they threw the money at him. They threw the money at Bruce Irvin, said, hey, you played college ball an hour or so south. That was in Steeler country at WVU. Why don't you play for Steeler country in the Pittsburgh Steelers before you wind the career down and get back to the Hall of Fame pace that you once were at and was at that pace with the Seattle Seahawks, multiple Super Bowl appearances, multiple Pro Bowl berths, one of the best in the business on that Legion of Boom defense. Won a championship already. Takes the money in Oakland. Never fits in. The Raiders are a mess. It's a train wreck. All the good players leaving town or being shipped out as they're weirdly building for the future despite bringing in John Gruden this year. And Bruce Irvin didn't fit that mold anymore, so he became available. They cut him. They sent him packing, and he was available. And the Steelers, like the New England Patriots, who always do this, but the Pittsburgh Steelers shot their shot. They offered money. They wanted to bring in Bruce Irvin. They wanted to bring in the All-Pro. He would have fit in the system well. He would have been perfect to replace a guy like Ryan Shazier. Yes, Bruce Irvin's been a little bit less than he was years ago recently since going to the Raiders, where he spent each of the last 3 seasons. 8 sacks last year, 38 tackles, only 6 total tackles and 3 assists in the games he played this year. A little sluggish, but who wouldn't have been sluggish with the Oakland Raiders? They weren't going anywhere, and he knew it from Jump Street. You put him in a Steelers situation, you put him in a Patriots situation, really revitalize him, get him a chance at another championship, and really could have been the key to bolster either one of their 2 defenses. Wasn't to be, though, as Bruce Irvin again signs with the Atlanta Falcons. Bruce Irvin going to play for his people, for his city, down there in Atlanta. They still could get in the playoffs for sure, but they're trailing the Saints. They're trailing the Panthers in the division, opponent here of the Steelers on Thursday Night Football. So that could kind of help out Bruce Irvin indirectly if the Steelers can knock out the Panthers. But Bruce Irvin turns down more money from the Steelers and Patriots, 2 division leaders, 2 AFC Super Bowl favorites to at least represent the conference and get him back into another championship, get him back into another Super Bowl. to go back to the NFC, to play in front of his people, as he said, man, it's my time. You can't put a price on the change for me to play for my people and city. It's bigger than money. So Bruce Irvin, it's bigger than money. It was about going home. Got to respect that. No hating on him. Wanted to go home, wanted to play for his hometown fans. Wanted to get to play for Atlanta before he winds things down. Wants to make a run with the Falcons. Still feels their playoff team, but it wasn't about the money. It wasn't even about the playoff positioning. He went to a team that is not leading their division, that is fighting for their lives, going to have to battle for the postseason for less money to go home and play for his people, his quote-unquote people. More power to him. But the Patriots, who you would expect, offered more money to Bruce Irvin. And your Pittsburgh Steelers offered more money to Bruce Irvin. So the fantasy football guys out there, the pie in the sky, that will the Steelers bring in Dez Bryant? Will they bring in Patrick Peterson? Will they bring in Bruce Irvin? Well, no to Patrick Peterson. Tomlin didn't even really want to discuss that anytime we would ask. That required trading. That required draft picks. That required mortgaging the future. And even though they're in win-now mode, they don't want to mess with that. The Steeler way is not to mess with that. So that was dismissed by myself and many of my colleagues. No to Dez Bryant. The offense and the receiver core is not the problem, wasn't the problem. Juju would be a number one elsewhere. He's an elite receiver now. Jesse James is emerging as a tight end, as a possession receiver. When Le'Veon Bell, if he does come back, and that's a whole nother story and a conversation for another show that's been beat the drum on, just search our little Pittsburgh Sports Now channel or Pittsburgh Sports Live channel, and you'll see that that's been discussed ad nauseum by myself on past episodes here of Mic Drop on Pittsburgh Sports Live, or go to pghsportslive.com for the archive of that show, or of those shows, that show being the most recent, with my plan for how the Steelers and Bell can both get a little wink-wink win out of this and get their way. But that's been done. So, but Bell comes back, and that would add more talent around the offense. Even if he doesn't, James Conner just setting records and running the bricks off and getting himself in the end zone throughout the season. So the offense and scoring points with a future Hall of Fame quarterback like Big Ben, who also now getting into a rhythm this year, not the problem. Wasn't going to be the problem. Nobody was foreseeing it to be the problem. So Dez Bryant didn't make sense, and he signed with the Saints, who maybe don't need the offense either, but that's where he is. Going to be a division now opponent of Bruce Irvin. Bruce Irvin, though, he fit. They needed that help. He fit in perfectly. He would have fit in perfectly. It seemed to make sense. But I still cling to the Steelers' way. They weren't going to do it. It just didn't make sense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That isn't how they do business. That isn't how the management does business. They don't go for the splash guy. They certainly don't do it mid-season. And they proved me wrong. They proved anyone telling the fans to shut up. You guys should relish this. Anytime anyone in media or anybody out there told you to shut up, it's fantasy football, pie in the sky, the Steelers way. They don't bring those guys in. I've told friends of mine, don't worry about this, your Facebook status of Patrick Peterson or how this guy would fit in. It means nothing. They're not going to go after the big name. I would be that annoying media member that would tell friends to kind of keep quiet because it's just stupid. It's just pointless. There's no reason to go into this. But now they can all tell me to shut up. They can all tell all of us to shut up because the Steelers proved us wrong, at least right now, at least off the Bruce Irvin situation. They went for it. They offered him more money. Here it is, Steelers Wire, USA Today, Steelers Wire headline. Steelers offered Bruce Irvin more money, but he signed with the Falcons. So they went for it. And you got to like that. That's what they always should do. I agree with you guys. They should go for it. They should be in win-now mode. That's why I didn't want Mason Rudolph drafted. That's why I didn't even care much about Dobbs. And that's why I wanted Landry Jones to stay. And I know Dobbs did so well with that one pass, and you're inducting him in the Hall of Fame already. And he maybe could fill in if Big Ben goes down adequately. But that was my initial concern then, that if Big Ben goes down and he usually misses games, it should be win-now mode. And that's why Landry Jones might have been available. Or even if you get away from that in terms of who cares about Landry Jones because he isn't going to be the future of this team, and he kind of was a thing of the past, and they knew that he wasn't going to really be able to get it done beyond being a spotty backup, then okay, Don't draft Mason Rudolph. Draft a defensive player. Draft a corner. Draft a linebacker. Draft somebody to help this team defensively because that was the need in the recent NFL draft. They didn't do that either. So they are looking to back up rookies with inexperience to go behind their veteran Hall of Fame quarterback who usually misses games. They don't draft defense. They don't draft a position of need in this recent NFL draft. Instead, going to a young quarterback that isn't going to obviously be the time now for him, regardless if it's the future or not. So based off the recent draft, based off the Steelers' way, based off history, they don't go after big names. They don't rock the boat in the middle of the season, unless they're forced here by Le'Veon Bell drama. And they didn't draft in a win-now mode. It kind of was building the future while trying to win now. And I thought they should go really for it and with that talent. And that's what they did. So they tried to do that with Bruce Irvin. They tried to bring in Bruce Irvin. They tried to bring in the Mountaineer, the former Pro Bowler, the former Super Bowl champion in the NFL. They were hoping to maybe get lightning in a bottle and get the Seattle Seahawks version of Bruce Irvin, and maybe the Oakland Raider days weren't really what he's made of because that situation did that to him. And they were hoping that, like the Patriots, who also offered him more money, they wanted to bring in a new guy. They wanted to help a position of need, and they wanted to go for it now. And they tried to go and shoot their shot for Bruce Irvin and offer him more money. And he just turned them down and just said no. Bruce Irvin offered more money by the Steelers and Patriots. But it's just about going home, playing for his people in his city, and it was not the money. Still going to a good team, but not as good as the Steelers and Patriots for their position. They offered more money, but wasn't what it was about for Bruce Irvin. So the Steelers put the effort in, and that's wonderful. Will that be a sign of things to come? That's going to be the question that I'll leave you with here. Is that going to be a sign of things to come for the Steelers and their management? Will they now be not as much of the historic Steelers way where we don't go after big-name guys, we don't rock the boat mid-season, we don't go for the splash guy? Will they now be more of a win-now mode? Maybe next year's draft, depending on how these playoffs go. Will that be more of a win-now, fix these needs now than this recent draft was? Will they maybe go for bigger-name guys who were available, who have drama with a past team or looking to be traded? Maybe that's complicated, like a Patrick Peterson, but certainly if they're cut or released and they're available as a free agent, like a Dez Bryant, who they didn't need, but a Bruce Irvin, who they did need, was. Will they offer more money to try to bring these guys in and win now? Well, they did it with Bruce Irvin. They tried. They offered him more money. He turned down more money from the Steelers and Patriots to go back home to Atlanta and play for his people. So they tried. They put the effort in. Try that one again. There it is. And they put the effort in, but it just didn't happen for him. But regardless, you got to like the effort. So fantasy football guys out there, pie in the sky, Steeler fans that always ask, can they bring in this free agent? Can they bring in that guy? The answer has usually been no, but they go for it with Bruce Irvin. They try. They go against the Steeler way. They make sure it's known that it's really win-now mode, and they even offer more money than the team he eventually signs with. No slight to the Steelers. He wanted to go home. But I think does this send a message? Does this change the course of the Steelers' way? Do they maybe do more of this, realizing this is what the Patriots have been doing? This is what they've been doing the last 15 years. This has got them over the hump for those playoff runs. This has got them in AFC title games. This has got them in Super Bowls. And this has got them 5 Lombardi trophies with many, many different rosters, with the exception of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, over those last 15 years. So maybe the Steelers took a page off the Patriots book. Steelers and Patriots, though, both projected Bruce Irvin. Now, an Atlanta Falcon. The WVU product, my fellow WVU alum, former Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl champion, now a member of the Atlanta Falcons. Spurns and rejects the Pittsburgh Steelers, but they shoot their shot. They go against Steeler way, and you fans out there, throw it back at us because they went against the grain, and maybe this is a sign of things to come. And I wouldn't mind it. You guys wouldn't mind it. Make things a little bit more fun and interesting. Be better for business and better for a win now mode. And with that kind of talent, the Steelers should be in win now mode. Now, that was another gold quality edition here of Mic Drop on Pittsburgh Sports Live. Want to make sure that you follow us on Pittsburgh Sports Live on YouTube. Click subscribe on the YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button. Makes it easier for us to get this golden quality content to you, the people out there. Follow us on Twitter at PGH Sports Live on Twitter. You can find these shows, any of our promotional, that's the show account. Can follow me, shameless plug since this is my show, at Mike Asti 11. You'll find my war with UCF fans and the fact that they don't have a schedule warranting the college football playoff, but their fans don't want to admit it. You can find any other trolls that come at me. You can find it in musings of myself all through the sports spectrum, certainly linking up this show, all of my media work here in Pittsburgh. And it's going to be entertaining. It's going to be asinine for you, but I certainly welcome you over to Mike Asti 11 there on Twitter. Follow, though, at your own risk. And go to our website where all these shows and everything we do there at Pittsburgh Sports Live on the YouTube channel are archived. PGHSportsLive.com finds this show and many others, everything we do there on the channel, whether it's post-game reports for the Penguins and Pitt, whether it be press conferences from the Steelers with Mike Tomlin, from Pat Narduzzi and Pitt, from Ethan Duquesne and Pitt men's basketball and women's basketball too, as college basketball season getting here into full-fledged swing now in the fall. And the Steelers go for it. They shoot their shot. They reject it. It's swatted away. It's Hemi Mutombo no style from Bruce Irvin going to the Falcons instead of the Pittsburgh Steelers. But regardless, maybe it's a sign of things to come. You got to like it. It's not Steelers' way. It's not what you would expect. But they went for it. They showed its win now mode. And the Steelers kind of did what the fans have been wanting for years. They're always claimed they're going to do, even though they don't really know that that's not what they're going to do. They tried. It didn't work. But the effort for the Steelers, you got to admire. They shot their shot. Bruce Irvin swatted it away. He's now a Falcon. But they went for it. There it is again. Steelers offered more money. Steelers offered Bruce Irvin more money. But he signed with the Falcons nonetheless. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. Follow myself on Twitter. And go visit our website, pghsportslive.com. This has been another Radio Gold edition of Mic Drop on Pittsburgh Sports Live. As I'm Mike Asti, conquering sports radio one day at a time.